August 1590. Three ships cut through the vast Atlantic, laden not just with supplies, but with a desperate hope. Their destination, Roanoke Island, a distant English claim along the southeastern coast of North America. Aboard one was Governor John White. 3 agonizing years had passed since he'd last set foot on its sandy shores. He was returning to the colony he had established, eager to resume his post and reunite with the people he'd left behind. The journey had been long and arduous, but nothing could prepare White for the reality that awaited him. As he finally reached the site of the colony, the bustling life he envisioned was replaced by an eerie, profound silence. The homes were vacant, the fort deserted. The more than 100 men, women, and children he'd entrusted to this new world, including his own daughter and young granddaughter, had simply vanished without a trace.
They called out, but only silence answered. The familiar sounds of a living settlement were replaced by an unsettling stillness.
A chilling, secret message, a word carved into a lone tree, was the only clue in the profound emptiness. Before Governor White could even begin a more extensive search, the exigencies of the sea forced his ship back to England. In its wake, it left behind not just an abandoned settlement, but one of history's most compelling and enduring mysteries. What truly happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? To begin to unravel this profound mystery, we must step back to the very heart of the Elizabethan era, to England's ambitious push for a new world empire. Desire to establish a permanent foothold against rival Spain. The dream began with earlier, challenging attempts. A reconnaissance expedition in 1584 scouted the Outer Banks, establishing initial contact with local Native American tribes and bringing 2 back to England, Monteo and Wanchese. The first serious attempt to colonize Roanoke began in 1585. This initial group, comprised mostly of soldiers, was tasked with exploration and defense. However, their year on the island quickly spiraled into disaster. They faced severe food shortages, struggled to adapt, and unknowingly brought deadly pathogens. Unwittingly, they unleashed epidemics upon the indigenous people, who lacked immunity. Relations with the local Native American population, initially complex, soon turned hostile. Led by Governor Ralph Lane, these men faced desperate circumstances. A brutal clash with the local chieftain Wingina ended in his decapitation. Faced with starvation, disease, and escalating attacks, the remaining colonists were finally evacuated in 1586 by Sir Francis Drake, barely escaping with their lives. A lingering, ominous detail: 3 men, left behind during the hasty evacuation, were never heard from again. Despite this costly failure, the dream of a permanent colony persisted. In 1587, a renewed effort was launched. This time the focus shifted from a military outpost to a true, self-sustaining community. A new group of 117 English settlers, including women and children, set sail under the direct leadership of Governor John White. Among them was White's very pregnant daughter, Eleanor Dare, and her husband Ananias, determined to start their new lives. A pivotal moment arrived on August 18, 1587, when Eleanor gave birth to Virginia Dare, the first English child born in North America. This historic event should have been a cause for celebration, but joy was quickly overshadowed by a stark reality. The colony was running dangerously low on supplies. Just a week after Virginia's birth, on August 27th, Governor White reluctantly volunteered to make the perilous transatlantic crossing back to England to secure vital provisions. White expected a swift return, but fate intervened. England was on the brink of war. The colossal Spanish Armada threatened invasion in 1588, leading Queen Elizabeth I to command a stay of all shipping. Trapped by the demands of war, White remained in England for 3 agonizing years, unable to reach the colony he had sworn to protect. It was not until August 1590 that he finally secured passage and returned to Roanoke. So, what truly became of those 115 vanished colonists? That Croatoan carving, The word found on a fence post and the letters CRO on a nearby tree was absolutely pivotal for Governor White. He believed it signaled a safe relocation to the friendly Croatoan island, especially since there was no distress cross. This was key because it was a prearranged signal. Had the colonists been forced to leave due to danger, they would have carved a cross symbol above their destination. Because no such cross had been found, White was confident the colonists had safely relocated to the island of Croatoan. Thus, White swiftly returned to the ship and convinced the captain to set course for Croatoan. But while the crew prepared for departure, disaster struck. The anchor cable snapped, and without a spare anchor, the captain felt it was simply too dangerous to continue the voyage. In the end, White never made it to Croatoan, but here's where it gets even more intriguing. A hidden note from White himself revealed a startling detail. The colonists were also preparing to move 50 miles into the mainland, a direction distinctly opposite an island. See how that adds a tantalizing layer of doubt? This core ambiguity has fueled centuries of intense historical debate, giving rise to some truly compelling theories. The Croatoan integration theory. This remains a leading explanation. It posits the colonists willingly joined the friendly Hatteras, Croatoan tribe, eventually assimilating. Later accounts, like John Lawson's from the early 1700s, spoke of Hatteras individuals with European features and oral traditions, supporting this idea. In the late 1930s, the Roanoke mystery saw a supposed breakthrough with the discovery of the Dare Stones. A man found a large rock near Edenton, North Carolina, bearing inscriptions purportedly from Eleanor Dare, John White's daughter. This first stone, and dozens more found afterward, claimed the colonists had survived the abandonment. They purportedly traveled west, some 50 to 500 miles, even to Georgia, integrated with Native American tribes, and slowly died off, with Eleanor herself remarrying and living until 1599. Historian Haywood J. Pierce championed these stones, believing they finally solved the mystery, and initially, even some experts agreed. However, in 1941, the entire collection of Dare stones was exposed as a hoax, though the authenticity of the very first stone continues to be debated by some. Remember that hidden note, patch from John White? In 2011, researchers examining one of John White's own maps unveiled a hidden symbol of a fort concealed beneath a carefully placed patch. This fort was located approximately 50 miles west of Roanoke, on the mainland, aligning perfectly with White's intriguing 50 miles into the mainland note. Ongoing archaeological digs at this potential Site X have indeed unearthed English artifacts, though the fort itself remains unfound. Now, why would he hide it? The deliberate concealment may have been a strategic move to hide the colony's true intended location from rival Spanish spies. Of course, other theories persist, though they're perhaps less substantiated by direct evidence. Maybe the colonists were tragically massacred by hostile tribes, though the puzzling lack of battle evidence at Roanoke challenges that. Or perhaps they simply succumbed to widespread disease or famine. A severe drought did affect the region at the time, forcing any desperate survivors to abandon the site and perish during an ill-fated search for sustenance. Some even propose they were lost at sea, attempting to sail back to England.